After the All-Star race, we saw Ricky Stenhouse Jr. get into a brawl with two-time Cup Series winner Kyle Busch. NASCAR has now taken into account the events that took place and has handed Stenhouse Jr. a record-breaking $75,000 penalty while Busch got away scot-free. Former NASCAR driver Dale Earnhardt Jr. has called out NASCAR for being unfair and favoring the RCR driver. During the race in North Wilkesboro, we saw Stenhouse go for an overtake on the very first lap. He decided to take advantage of Busch going a bit wide and opening up a gap in the middle of the track. While passing the number 8 car, Stenhouse slightly squeezed Busch into the wall. Although he didn't face much damage, Kyle decided to retaliate. On the next lap, he ran into the back of the number 47 car that sent Stenhouse into the wall and out of the race. As Stenhouse went back into pit road to retire his car, he parked it in the number 8 pit box and walked up to Busch's crew chief, Randall Burnett. Ricky wanted Kyle to know that he would be waiting for him after the race. And we want you to know that NASCAR Off Track is the best place for news surrounding the sport, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button. As the race ended, Busch arrived at his hauler only to find Stenhouse waiting outside. This led to the brawl initiated by the number 47 driver. Considering the severity of the incident, everyone expected a $25,000 fine for Stenhouse since he initiated the fight. But people also expected a fine for Busch as he intentionally wrecked the number 47 car. Busch even admitted to doing so publicly. But to everyone's surprise, NASCAR handed a record-breaking $75,000 fine to Stenhouse and didn't take any action against Kyle Busch. NASCAR's VP of Competition recently justified the penalties that were given. If we see something, we have proven over time that if intentionally hooking someone in the right rear, and we have reacted to that. But we rarely as a sanctioning body, and we do stay out of the on-track incidents, unless we see something that, blatantly comes back to us that, we need to react to. In this case, we reviewed it, we looked at it, we listened to the audio, and again, a hard racing, but also, truly, appreciate where the two drivers stand on it. Go let those guys decide and agree to disagree. I think it's fair to say that when you have crew members and family members that put their hands on our drivers, we're going to react. There's not a lot of detail I'm going to get into due to the fact that these are appealable penalties, and I want to make sure that we're fair to that process. With that being said, and we've been consistent about this when crew members and family members get involved, we are going to react. That's exactly what we did. When you wait 198 laps and you make those decisions that were made, again, we are going to react to that. Granted, there was no tunnel. Granted, there was no crossover bridge to allow Stenhouse Jr. to leave the track. Better decisions could have been made throughout that period of time between the incident on the racetrack and the incident in the garage post-race. NASCAR gave Stenhouse Jr. the fine as multiple crew members and family members of the driver got involved. In addition to this, Stenhouse decided to retaliate after 198 laps. While NASCAR VP did justify why they gave Stenhouse the fine, they didn't go into detail on why they didn't give Kyle Busch a fine. During a recent interview, Busch said, "I wasn't too pleased about that and did come back and retaliated. Showed my displeasure of that." He openly admitted that he had intentionally wrecked Stenhouse's race. But despite this, NASCAR decided to not fine him for the accident. This has led Dale Earnhardt Jr. to call out NASCAR for being biased towards Busch. I feel like how we got to this big $75,000 penalty for Stenhouse is because that happened on such a large stage. That happened in front of so many cameras and cell phones. All of the media was involved, people spilling about in this massive brawl, and NASCAR was part of the promotion for that big moment, right? A $25,000 fine for Ricky makes sense. Like Joey Logano said, turn on your phone and that's all you see. That is why I think that's how we got to the penalty, which I think is unfair. I really do. I think that it's a bit of an overreaction on NASCAR's part, and they overreacted unknowingly off the attention that it had gotten. Although Jr. understood where the officials were coming from, he felt NASCAR was aware of the benefits it brought as well. I get kind of where they're coming from, where the attention that it's getting. We're not gonna say it out in public, but it's good. But we do need to make sure we send a message that this can't be the norm. I will say the suspension for his dad, I could go with that. I thought it would be for a couple of races, but it was more. Indefinite or whatever that is, right? That could be 4 weeks, or that could be the rest of the season. The crewmen sitting out 4 and 8, I agree with that. I think that's okay. If it's the two dudes that had their arms around Kyle's neck, they ought to get something. I'm good with that. People may go, what's the big deal for Stenhouse? 25 to 75, what's the huge difference? It sets a precedent. So now going forward, the 75 is the new norm of what you're gonna get when you swing on somebody. Dale is mostly shocked by the amount fined by NASCAR. There's no doubt that the fight has been good for NASCAR in terms of publicity. For obvious reasons, they can't openly state that. However, Dale expected the fine to be lower than it was. With a $75,000 fine, drivers will be more hesitant to throw punches. But it looks as though NASCAR is encouraging the drivers to wreck other drivers' races. Kyle Busch has still not received any punishment. What Stenhouse Jr. did to Busch during the start of the race was not his best decision. However, the consequences were not anything major. Busch just lost a position or two, but Kyle intentionally retaliated and rear-ended Stenhouse's car, taking him out of the race. Here's what Stenhouse had to say after the fistfight with Busch. "I feel like Kyle and I have always raced each other really hard back to the Nationwide Series, when we were competing for wins week in and week out," Stenhouse explained. "Never had any issues, then, I wrecked him one time at Daytona, and he's been kinda bad-mouthing me ever since then. I feel like we get along with each other okay outside the racetrack. I talk to him quite a bit. I'm not sure why he was so mad. I shoved it 3 wide, but he hit the fence and kind of came off the wall and ran into me. I don't know, when I was talking to him, he kept saying that I wrecked him, so definitely built up frustration with how he runs his mouth all the time about myself. But I know he's frustrated because he doesn't run as well as he used to. I understand that. We're a single-car team over here. We're working really hard to go out and get better each and every weekend. We had a really good game plan coming in. Our car was really strong. Friday in practice, I was looking forward to running to the front. I think we'd pass a couple of cars there. I was excited for the rest of the night and he ruined it. Being stuck in here definitely doesn't help the frustration. If there was a tunnel, I'd have probably been at home watching the end of that. So here we are." Both the drivers will now be heading to Charlotte for the Coke 600 race. This is one of the most iconic races in NASCAR history. This weekend is popular for being the biggest week in motorsports. Apart from the Coke 600, 2 other iconic races in other series take place this weekend: the Indy 500 and the F1 Monaco GP. Given the importance of the race this weekend, Busch and Stenhouse will not want to continue their rivalry any further. However, Stenhouse did tell Busch that he would be wrecking the number 8 car during the race in Charlotte, but this was just said due to the heat of the moment. Besides, both drivers have bigger problems to deal with. Busch and Stenhouse are yet to qualify for the playoffs. Hence, they will now be looking to figure out their problems from the first half of the season, so they can figure out a solution to fix their car. Do you think NASCAR made the right call by giving a $75,000 fine for Stenhouse and nothing for Busch? Also, do you think that either Busch or Stenhouse will be able to win a race within the next 13 races to qualify for the playoffs? Post your thoughts in the comments section below.